Let's give a welcome to George.
All I can say is, wow. I mean, hearing Lucy talk, hearing Dave talk, and I always loved Dave's call to arms talks, especially that. Was it January or February when you did that to us?
January.
Was it January? And
First meeting of the year.
first meeting of the year as
To us.
yes. Okay, how many people were here on that January meeting? There was a good handful. How many of us feel like he did that to us, rather for us? I felt like it was to us because it was definitely, this is what we are going to do, this is how we are going to do it, and you are going to mark down some goals, and you are, and I felt like I was in my first grade class again, being directed on the paper. And I still think about that a lot. And this is what this talk has a lot to do with. And so the serendipitousness of it is how Dave's talk, your talk, and now my talk are following, and my guess is Peter's going to follow along with that too. I sat here and said some things at that meeting, and I started to think about it really hard because I didn't have what it took. I didn't have what it takes or took to accomplish the goals that I had set out. They weren't there. And it bugged me a lot. And I coach people, and the last couple of coach meetings I've had, especially 3 of them, all derived directly from what my lack was. I challenged them. Did they have the same shortfalls that I was facing? How many people have a mentor here today? I do have a mentor. Now, the question is, do you meet regularly, face-to-face, with that mentor? Do they know who you are by your face, by your goals, by who you are? Because if that's not true, they're not your mentor. They have to know you. They have to. And why is that? Anybody have a good answer?
To help you, they have to know you.
They have to know you. Henry, you're in the ditch, and I want to help you get out of that ditch. Do you want to move?
Sure do.
So let's go. Right now. Stand up.
I'm here.
That's the only way mentoring is going to work, is that way. And I was sitting here, go ahead. I was sitting here in that meeting in January, and I wanted to be a public speaker again. I had walked away from public speaking. I had walked away from professional writing. I just got too dang busy with my kids. And I had to walk away. It was either write and speak or take care of my kids. How many people have kids? This is a good question to ask yourself right now. Your kids walk into the bedroom at night. Do they wake you up? Or do they wake your spouse up? Or your partner up? If they're waking you up, you're the go-to parent. I am the go-to parent. And I'm the one that was going to be leaving. 2 to 3 times a month, 3 to 4 days at a crack, that's 8 to 12 times a month I was going to be gone. Is that fair to do to my kids? And it wasn't. And I chose not to. So I stayed home. Now I want to get back into it again. But the problem was I had no one in my life that was getting paid to speak. Do you have anyone in your life that gets paid to speak? We're all sitting here wanting to get paid to be a public speaker. Anybody in your life making money speaking?
That's the only thing he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't have anyone in my life, and I still today stand here in front of you, have no one that I'm in direct contact with that knows my face that is paid to speak. Now, how dumb is that? You can answer because it's stupid. So, I'm flying out of here Friday in about 2 weeks to spend 3 days in Los Angeles with a couple people that owe me some favors. And those people make somewhere between 15 and 20,000 per talk. I got to find one of them again, sit down with them and say, what's it going to take to hitch my wagon to yours? What do I have to give up? What do I have to be, provide? What do you need from me to let me back into your life? Why do I have to ask that question? And this is what this whole talk's going to be about. If I start hanging out with Henry Kriegel has a problem. What's the problem? I rub off on people. If Henry Kriegel starts hanging out with me, what's my problem? Henry Kriegel rubs off on me. Do I want in my life what that's going to bring? And the answer is simple, yes, I do. I know you. I know what you bring. I know what you provide. So I'm willing to do that. I got asked to have, someone asked me to be their mentor, and a young guy about 28 years old. I didn't really know who he was, so I had to check him out. The next time we met, it was like, dude, here's some facts. This is what I know about you now, and I don't want you in my life. Because you talk a good game, but your whole backyard is just chaos. And that's my favorite part about life today. We've talked a little bit about that already. It's like, you want to know what someone's like and they're in their 20s, what's the first thing you're going to do? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, they all have their accounts. Their life's pretty open book. You can find out who they are real quick. It's amazing how many pictures are on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram of young men, young women smoking dope, doing drugs, drinking lots of booze. And is that something you want to bring into your life? And the main question you got to ask those people when they ask you to come into your life is, are you willing to walk away from that? Are you ready to stop? The greatest words in the whole world are you finished? Are you through? Have you had enough? I was 21 years old, and this toothless old lady in a meeting took out her teeth to be toothless, laid them on the table, looked me in the eye, and said those words. And I said, yes, ma'am. I am. And if she'd asked me to go in the corner and stand on my head for the next hour, I would have done it. No questions asked. Because I was through. I didn't want to do that anymore. Now, here's something that just happened to me a few days ago. What's your name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, you're my wife. And I'm talking to my wife, Jennifer. And I said, I have a chance. This person offered me to come down to Los Angeles for I think it's like $550 or $600 seminar, free. If I get there, that seminar's free. What do you think? It's a pretty good idea. It's not, I can get down to Los Angeles, spend a couple of nights in the motel, and it'll probably cost us $800 to $1,000 for me to be gone. What do you think? Yeah, not bad. In a guy's world, we talk 3 or 4 times about that. Everybody pretty much agrees. It's a pretty good idea. What's a guy do? Books the room. Books the flight. That's just common sense. But there's one problem you do that I didn't do in a woman's world. I didn't say I was going.
Oh.
We talked about it. It's a good idea. In a man's world, that's common sense. I'm going. So I spent the night on the couch. because I didn't follow through with the conversation. You know, the first time we talked about it was the end of April, and there was like 30, 40 rooms left open for that weekend in that place right outside of LAX airport. When I called 3 weeks later, there was one room left. So what's the smart thing to do? Discounted room because I'm going down there for that conference, so I booked it. Because I booked the room, I thought, what the heck, I'll book the flight. So I did that. But I want to pursue this path. The problem is, if I pursue this path again, I start to leave. I start to get tied up in that lifestyle again. Because it's not an easy thing to do. You have to be who you are up in front, like Lucy was talking about. No distractions. Nothing going on. Because the more quiet I am inside, the better off I am on the outside. One of my favorite quotes of all the time I've ever been up in front of the rooms, I heard it in the middle 80s. If there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. And taking care of what's going on inside of me, the angst, the fear, the insecurity, the not measuring up. And I didn't know how tied up I was in that world until about 4 years ago, how much it meant to me and how much it was bothering me and how much it was just messing with me. Until July 2nd or 3rd, a few years ago, my daughter was coming back on a trip. She'd been gone for almost a whole month. And I was texting her in a men's meeting I was at. When you get home, let me know. I will come get you. I don't care if it's 2 in the morning. I don't care if it's 4 in the morning. You text me, I'm coming. She didn't do it. She said, it's too late. I'm just not going to. And anyway, something happened. Pretty bad. So that same men's meeting I was in, the following week, I was telling them about what had happened. And each one of those guys met me exactly where I was, in that ditch. And the power of that event changed my life completely. That's men that loved me even though I was in complete brokenness. They came and they met me right there. And I couldn't even get up. But I told them I wanted to move because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to build the monument of my life to that moment. And they said, we'll help you. It's going to take a little bit, but we will help you. And they did. And from that day on, I've looked at things very differently. Because I thought at that time I loved people, but I just didn't know what it meant to truly, honestly love someone else. Until those guys literally showed me what it was. And do you have any stories in your life that equate to that? Because we are all people. And I love that we're not all vanilla. I love that we're not all chocolate. Honestly, it's Baskin-Robbins on crack. It's Baskin-Robbins 4 billion flavors. Because each one of us is different. And it's in that brokenness that our strengths come from. And I thought it was just because I was strong. Because I was a big guy. But it's not. It's bringing forth the enemies that are inside of me and the willingness to share that openly and say, this is how I, in my brokenness, got to be healed. And if I can be broken and get healed, you can too. So what's holding you back? And why are you allowing it to hold yourself back? What is it that you want to build that monument to? And why? Because I could still today honestly be stuck back there at July 3rd. But it wouldn't help my family. It wouldn't help me. It wouldn't help you guys. So why do I want to do it? Because I've been with that guy that was talking earlier about the mentor in this middle to late 20s, and I've watched him walk away from kids that he's known and said, you know what? Let them have their lifestyle. I'm walking away. I don't want to be that person anymore. I want to be this person. And I encourage you to take a look at that. To be that, because I wanted to be me. I wanted to be the hippie kid with the long hair. God said, no, you're going to be an old bald man. I am basically an introvert. I juice up at night by shutting the world out. When I was in my early 20s, I sat in a lecture one time with this guy talking, and he said there was these kids. One kid was in a room full of toys. Other kid was in a room full of horse poo. The one kid with the toys is sitting there crying because he's afraid he's going to break a toy. Other kid in the horse poo is throwing poo everywhere looking for the pony. And I said, you know what? I want to be that kid. Even though I am basically the other kid. I'm going this way. Start taking those stories that you hear that make you jazzed up and embrace them. Quit talking about, oh, I want to do that. Now I got to figure out a way. And you dither, and you dither, and you dither, and you dither. Nothing happens. We're not Fred Flintstone in that car with our little feet as the gas pedal. It's our choice to move. We have to take the action. And just sitting here thinking about the action is an action. It's just dithering. So if you really want to do this, get the people in your life that know you face to face. And if they don't have a mentor, they're the wrong mentee. You have to have a mentor that has a mentor. They have to be aspiring to be something else. How many people know who the Pope is today in Rome? Pope Francis, right? Pope Francis has a mentor. It's called a confessor. He's accountable to that person. That confessor has a confessor. So even if the Pope can do that, so can you. So quit holding yourself back. Quit being the rabbit. Be the wolf. Be the eagle. Whatever it is that you use as your power animal, whatever you have in your life that gives you the strength to do what you need to do, quit talking. The last one, if that's what you really want, show up for it. Take it serious. This is not my usual tire, is it? But if I'm going to be a professional speaker, if professional speakers show up in their Levi's with holes in them and their shoes unlaced and a dirty shirt, nope. You have to dress up. You have to show up and live the life. To get comfortable enough in this attire so that it becomes natural. Not one person that runs a marathon runs them in new shoes. How come? Shoes aren't broken yet. Not one marathon runner runs in a brand new shirt. How come? Because they rub. They don't know them yet. So why are you going to be a professional speaker or a public speaker and not wear the clothes that they're expecting? you to wear. Ask yourself the question. You're cutting your own throat. You're cutting your own Achilles tendon. So start doing the stuff that it requires. And I can promise you, just like it happened for me and is happening again for me, it'll happen for you too.